Hello and welcome to another episode on the Cybersec Migrant. My name is Femi and I'm glad you're here. This is another in our Cybersecurity Nugget series where we talk about something that's so simple and easy to do that can keep you safe and cyber secure. And today on this episode, we're going to be talking about how you can be safe on social media. Social media safety is our topic for today. I'm sure many of us know people who have come across, I certainly know people who have told me and said, hey, my Facebook was hacked, please don't send a message to me on my Facebook, yada, yada, yada. Or people who've said, oh, my WhatsApp has been taken over for some reason or the other. And for some reason, there seems to be a lot of that going on these days. Only just last week, a friend of mine who is also part of a larger WhatsApp group I'm in, had his phone number hacked, and the hacker who took over his WhatsApp account sent a message to everyone in the group, was asking for money, of course. I didn't fall for it because I knew what it was. But that happens. And just 2 days ago, another friend of mine, also here in North America, also had to change her phone number because some malicious actor got a hold of her correct number. So this is something that's definitely a threat. Social media is here to stay. These days, there's so many social media apps competing for our attention, from Facebook to Instagram to Twitter, well, now X, to Snapchat to LinkedIn, both professional and casual and what have you, social media. There's so much of those that are out there, and it's easy to get, it's easy to get hacked with all that information. It's easy for bad actors to actually use all that information out there to actually really hurt you. And that's what people don't realize. Bad actors out there have all the time in the world to find the information they can use to hurt you. For example, a few months ago, this is November 2023. A few months ago, there was a hack of the MGM resorts in Las Vegas. And what actually happened is someone called the help desk based on information they had found on LinkedIn and social media, and pretended to be one of their IT staff and had the password reset. So there was some information that was on there. The person was able to engineer that information socially and use that to get in and get access. And that always happens. So there's always a risk that can happen if you put all that information on there. And these days, it's actually quite interesting that a lot of people share so much information online and don't realize that sometimes there is a risk to that information you're sharing. So social media is a great way to stay connected with friends and family. Absolutely true. It's a way to learn new things. It's a way to express yourself. But it's also important that we use social media safely and responsibly. No matter your expertise, these tips we're going to go through are going to make sure that your social media journey is smooth and secure. No matter who you are, either you are an influencer or a newbie, you only have 3 followers, always have cybersecurity at the back of your mind and protecting your personal data while you use social media. These days, all social media accounts are as critical as email, even if you don't post often. And it's important that you don't overshare. So first things first, price personal information. Do you have all your information out there on social media? I've seen people's profiles where they've got their email, phone number, all their handles on there. Yes, we want people to, know who you are, but do you have to share all of that information? Because your data is so important. It's worth so much more to social media companies. But you can control what is collected by these companies. So your personal data is valuable. I had an interview recently with a guest, and he said, data is the new oil. That's very true. Treat it like cash. Treat your personal information like something very valuable, because it actually is. So pay attention to what you're sharing on social media and what is requested. If a social media app is requesting for your current location, why does it want to know your current location? Is there a need for it to know your current location? Or for example, for those of us who overshare on social media and say, oh, I'm traveling to the Bahamas next week, I'll be gone for 3 weeks. That's an invitation to people to rob your house because you're away for 3 weeks. So be careful what you share on social media, because you never know. Be careful about what you share. Another thing you have to do is check your settings. Even if a social media app isn't asking you for a certain piece of data, you should assume it is being collected. Because most times, many of us don't read the fine print. Someone said something very funny recently, which I find true. He said, with most social media platforms, well, of course, excluding X that Elon Musk says we're going to start paying for soon, but most social media platforms are free to use. And my friend said, if you're using something for free, then you are the product that's being sold. So assume that your data is being collected by these social media platforms, even when they don't expressly say it. So routinely, every month, every 6 weeks, every 2 months, find a cadence that works for you. Go through your privacy settings, ensure that everything fits within your comfort level. On a mobile device, check. Does it have access to your camera? Does it have access to your microphone? Is it synchronizing your contacts? Is it has access to your location? All of these things you can actually keep an eye on. If they're on and you don't think they should be on, toggle them off so that you can be a bit more secure. If the app doesn't need it, then it should not be collecting that information. If it doesn't need your location, it shouldn't be collecting it. But if you need, only turn it on if you need that functionality to use the app and if you trust the app. If you don't trust the app, then please, I recommend you leave it on. Another thing you can do out there is you should enable multi-factor authentication, sometimes called two-factor authentication or two-step verification, which requires anyone logging into your account to prove their identity in more than one way. So the basic standard way of proving your identity is to put in a password, a username and a password, or email address and password, whatever that is. But also, you would then prove your identity some other way. Either you would have a token app on your phone, like an authenticator app, and provide a series of numbers for that. Or some of the authenticator apps allow you to ask you to open up the app and tap on a particular number or tap yes. Or some of them would say, like if you use some of the mail services, they'll tell you, and a number is being showed on your phone. Can you type in that number on the screen here to confirm that you're the one? Why are you going through all this trouble? This makes it extremely hard for hackers to actually guess what those things are. And then by extension, they have difficulty accessing your account. Because if a hacker gets your password, but they need a second just-in-time factor to be able to get into your account, which they don't have, then your account is safe. So that's why it's important for you to enable multi-factor authentication. And today, the good news is pretty much every social media platform allows you to implement multi-factor authentication. So if you have multi-factor authentication, it makes your account a lot more secure. It makes your account a lot more safe. You should do that. Now, another key thing you should do with social media, and I know many people are guilty of this, it's actually twofold. You should have, one, secure passwords. So which means think of long, strong, unique passwords. If you can, let your passwords be as long as 20 characters, but a minimum of 15 characters is what I recommend. Let them be unique, let them be strong. So that's very important. The truth is, length of your password is actually a lot more important than complexity. So it's important for your password to be longer than it is for it to be complex. So, for example, a password, the quick brown fox jump over the lazy dog, no spaces, is actually a lot more secure than X1 $3 number sign at 56. Because just because it's longer, it's a lot more secure because there's a lot more combinations that your password could be, which makes it a bit more difficult for those people to think. The other thing about your password is that it has to be complex, if you can make it complex. First long, yes, then complex. So which means that try and mix it up as much as you can. Let it be as complex as possible. An uppercase letter, a lowercase letter, a number, a special character. And mix it up. And also, where possible, do not use sequential numbers or letters. So don't do 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, ABC, XYZ, PQR. It's not a good idea to use sequential characters in your password. So let it be as long as possible, as unique as possible, as complex as possible. Now, the second part is this. Do not reuse passwords. I know so many people who are guilty of this. You have a password on one platform and use the same password on another platform. And that's a human thing to do because it's so easy to remember just one password, but it's really, really not a good thing. Why is it not a good thing? The reason is this. If you have platform A and you use the same password on it as platform B and platform C and platform D, so you've got 4 different platforms where you're using the same password. Because these 4 different platforms are 4 different companies potentially, most likely with different levels of cybersecurity expertise, they would handle your data differently within the terms of the agreement, of course. Now, the chances are one of those companies might get breached. So let's say, for example, platform B gets breached and someone steals usernames and passwords from all the users who use platform B. Now they have a whole list of usernames and passwords that match with them. Those hackers can then go to platform C or platform A or platform D and try and see if any of those username password combinations would work on those platforms. And because you are reusing the same password across all these platforms, they breach platform B, and as a result, they have access to your profile on platform A, B, C, and D, even though only one platform was breached. So you see why it's such a bad idea to reuse your passwords and why it's such a good idea to have multi-factor authentication? Because if you do not reuse your passwords, your breach is only contained to platform B. Whereas if you are reusing your passwords, all the 4 platforms have been breached. Secondly, if you have multi-factor authentication, it makes it a lot more difficult for the hackers to actually access your account because they still need to prove that they are you one way or the other. So even though they've gotten your password, they're not able to access your account. So it's important to do that. Now, a lot of people say, oh, it's so hard. How am I going to remember a 25-character password? That's too hard to remember. That's too long. I have so many things I'm thinking about. The cost of eggs, the price of bread, the cost of traffic, my mortgage information. There's so much information we have to think about. To make your life easier, use a password manager. A password manager has a distinct ability to be able to generate reasonably long, unique, and complex passwords and store that information in an encrypted way and then provide that information to you and only you when you need it. So if you use a password manager and you have to just remember that one password to access your password manager, and then your password manager is able to generate passwords, different passwords for different platforms, and remember them for you, it's a lot smarter and it's a lot easier for you to remember those passwords than it will be for you. So use a password manager when you can to actually keep your password safe and secure. Another thing you should do is, like I said earlier at the start, share with care. Be mindful about what you share online, because the more information you post online, the easier it is for people to be able to piece together information about you. So if you post on this platform about a holiday and you post on a different platform about your dog, you post on a different platform about your cat, you post on a different platform about your job, if a hacker is trying to access your information and try to engineer your information, all they need to do is go scrape all your information across those platforms. We call it open source intelligence. So they can find all of that information, piece it together, and then have a picture of you, your acts, what you do, what you like, your favorite color, favorite game. That's why I always tell friends sometimes, be mindful of all those social media games you play where they say, put in your favorite color, put in your pet's name, put in the last house you lived, put in the street where you lived last, all of those things, the name of the make of your first car. Those are sometimes building up a profile for you. So be mindful of what kind of information you're sharing on social media. Another thing, social media posts are like ghosts. Social media posts can come back to haunt you in ways you don't expect. So be mindful of what you put out there, because once you put it out there, it's out there. Now, some platforms claim to be able to delete posts after a while, like, for example, say Snapchat, for example. But even apps that delete posts automatically, you never know if someone took a screenshot of that post, and then it can come back to haunt you in ways you don't even imagine in the future. So be mindful of what you post, because it's important. It can actually literally live forever with the right people. So be careful about that. Another thing about social media, you don't have to always accept every single connection request or friend request you get. Depending on the information you have visible on your profile, people may know your contact information. So you're able to set your profile so that if someone's a friend, they can see a lot more. If someone sends you a friend request and you don't know who that person is, you have no idea why they're sending you a friend request, you have every right to not accept the friend request, because you should be wary about it. So be wary about it. Now, if you're trying to be a social media influencer, you can open a business page that doesn't use your personal information. So that business page would allow, broad participation, but limits personal information that's available to that. So use your social media wisely. If you must be very active, then create an influencer page or a business profile that limits personal information, and then use your personal profile only for those real friends who you know and only people you know in real life. And of course, one very key thing that has happened with the rise of social media there's been a lot of cyberbullying that's been happening. And it goes beyond children these days. In the past, it was only children get cyberbullied. But these days, even adults get cyberbullied. People can be anywhere. Someone can be on the other side of the world, faceless behind a keyboard, and bully someone here on the other side of the world. And there have actually been legal precedents for cases when people have actually bad things have happened as a result of cyberbullying. Let's just put it that way. So if someone is bullying you, if you're uncomfortable with the ways that an interaction is going on social media, there's no shame in having a strong, blocking the person off. There's no shame in upping your blocking game. If the person is making you uncomfortable, block the person and move on. You don't have to be friends with everybody. You're not ice cream. You can please everybody. And also, like I've said before, and I keep on saying all the time, phishing is very important. Phishing remains one of the biggest vectors for cyber attacks, where someone sends you a message, either email or text message or voicemail, claiming to be some person of authority and trying to tell you that you've got to act urgently to give them some information. Either they want you to click a link or to reply to a message or to take some action, go buy some gift cards, for example. If someone is pushing an agenda and it's trying to be urgent and they're trying to say, if you have to do it in time, or otherwise you're going to lose something, you should be wary about it. Not always is it that way. So don't fall for those scams. If someone says, and this is very common online, you see a post that says, make $100,000 in 2 days by doing nothing, or invest $500 and get $1 million after 2 months. If it sounds like a duck, if it looks like a duck, if it walks like a duck, and it talks like a duck, it's probably a duck. That's what they say. So, and they say, if it's too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true. So there's so many scams that are circulating on social media. Be very careful about clicking links you don't know or downloading attachments from people you don't know, because the truth is scammers love social media too. They're on there as well. So if you allow yourself for a victim, then they could literally ruin your life by doing that. So I hope these tips have been important for you. Be careful about how you use social media. Use it wisely, use it greatly. Enjoy the social media sphere. It's a good way to stay connected, but you should be very vigilant. And I hope that by following these tips, you can also stay safe on social media. Now, I hope these have been useful to you. If there's something that you think I've left out and I didn't put in there, let me know down in the comments below what that would be. What steps do you take to stay safe on social media, and how do you use social media a lot more safely and securely? And I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.